Have you ever found yourself sitting in silence and feeling that the world around you is moving, but you, your soul, are standing still, watching from behind a veil? Have you ever felt like you were born into a world that doesn't quite understand you, as if your heart was tuned to a frequency that very few can hear? If so, then this may not be a coincidence. It may be a calling. Not everyone hears it. Not everyone is chosen. But you might be. From the moment you took your first breath, something ancient may have been placed within you. A rare gift, a divine whisper, a sacred responsibility. The signs are not always loud. They are subtle, like a feather brushing against your consciousness. But once you begin to recognize them, they become impossible to ignore. I'm going to tell you something that might shake you. God does not choose the qualified. He qualifies the chosen. And you were not chosen because you are perfect. You were chosen because you are willing to go deeper, willing to endure, willing to burn with a light so bright it might blind even yourself at times. The first sign that you may be one of the chosen is that you've always felt different. Not in an arrogant way. Not in a way that seeks to be noticed. In fact, you might have spent most of your life trying to blend in, to silence the internal thunder. But the truth is, the chosen ones do not belong to the crowd. They belong to the edge, on the edge of society, on the edge of understanding, on the edge of spiritual reality. You were not meant to fit in. You were meant to awaken. Have you noticed how deeply you feel things? How sometimes, even when others are laughing, you sense something beneath the surface? It's as if your soul has a radar for truth, a detector for authenticity. That's no accident. That's the second sign, an unexplainable sensitivity to energy, to people, to the invisible. When you walk into a room, you can feel the weight of unspoken words. When you meet someone, you know who they are before they even speak. You don't just see the world, you feel it. That's a power, a rare one. But this sensitivity can feel like a curse. You might have asked yourself, why am I so overwhelmed by what others seem to ignore? Because you were gifted with spiritual perception. And perception, when left untrained, feels like pain. But when refined, it becomes prophecy. The chosen ones are not always comfortable. They are not always understood, but they are always awake.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Let me ask you something deep. Have you ever felt like your suffering was strangely sacred? That somehow your pain had a purpose? That's the third sign. The chosen are often marked by an early initiation through suffering. It's as if life tests them before it reveals the reason. Many of you were born into hardship, loneliness, rejection. You may have faced battles no one knows about. But what if the fire was not there to destroy you but to forge you? The pain you went through was not for nothing. The silence you endured was not wasted. God often hides His most powerful warriors in the shadows, because shadows produce depth. And you, my friend, have depth that cannot be taught. It was earned through every scar, through every tear. And one day those cracks will let the light pour through. The fourth sign is that you have a relentless inner compass. Even when you stray from the path, You are always drawn back. There is a voice inside you that refuses to be silenced. You've tried to ignore it. You've tried to live like others, but you always return into the truth, to the mystery, to the call. That voice is not your imagination. It's your soul remembering who you are. You see, the chosen ones don't just wake up one day enlightened. They ache, they question, they wrestle with God in the dark. But that wrestling is sacred. It means you care. It means you're alive. It means you're not asleep like the rest of the world. Do you ever feel like time is running out? Like you were meant to do something, but you don't know what? That's the fifth sign. A divine urgency, or pressure in your chest that doesn't go away. You might not have the map, but you know there's a destination. You might not know the how, but you feel the why. That urgency is a clue. You are not here to waste your life. You are here to ignite something. And maybe right now you feel lost. But let me tell you, being lost is sometimes the first step to being found. Many chosen ones go through a season of wandering or a divine disorientation, because before you can find your power, you must first question who you are without it. Here's something people don't understand. The chosen ones are trained in silence. They are shaped in isolation. God often removes them from the noise so they can hear His voice more clearly. That's why you may have gone through seasons where everyone disappeared, where support vanished, where you thought you were being punished. But what if you were actually being prepared? The sixth sign is this: you keep getting messages, not always through words, but through dreams, through coincidences, through repeated numbers, through strangers saying things that pierce your heart. That's not random. That's the divine speaking in code. God speaks in whispers, and only those who are truly awake can hear Him. Start paying attention. What are the symbols that keep appearing in your life? What themes do your dreams repeat? What emotions are constantly rising within you? These are not distractions. They are directions. And finally, the seventh sign: you have a burden for the world. You care deeply about injustice, about suffering, about purpose, even when no one else seems to notice. You do. That's not weakness. That's divine empathy. That's power disguised as pain. The chosen ones are not chosen to escape the world. They are chosen to heal it. But to heal the world, you must first heal yourself. And that's the journey of the chosen. Not to become someone else, but to remember who you've always been. You don't need to seek outside of yourself for approval. The universe already approved you. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be real. The world doesn't need another mask. It needs your truth. So let me ask you a question that only your soul can answer. If you were not afraid, what would your life look like? Because that vision, that whisper, that dream might just be the reason you were chosen. And the deeper you go, the more you will realize God didn't give you power to impress others. He gave you power to awaken them, to remind them, to serve them. You are not here by accident. You are here by divine appointment. And your power, it's not in the noise. It's in your stillness. It's in your presence. It's in the part of you that refuses to give up, even when the world tries to convince you to. You are the miracle someone else is praying for. You are the answer to a question the world hasn't asked yet. You are the light disguised as a storm, and your time is coming. The moment you start to awaken is not when everything becomes clear, but when everything becomes intolerably unclear. It is in the fog, in the trembling, in the aching confusion that your divine power begins to stir. People think awakening is a peaceful, blissful process like falling gently into a dream. But the truth is, it's more like being struck by lightning while standing in the rain. Your old skin begins to crack, your illusions begin to collapse, and suddenly, the life you once clung to no longer fits your soul. This is the beginning of transformation. This is the fire within. And you are not here to just survive this world. You are here to change it. But first, it must change you. You might be asking, why me? Why was I chosen for this path? And the answer, while simple, is also profound, because you were created with something that could not be replicated. A frequency, a vibration, a divine fingerprint. God never makes duplicates. Your soul carries a resonance that has never existed before and will never exist again. That alone is sacred. That alone is evidence that your presence here is not random, it is intentional. But here's the paradox of the chosen: they rarely feel chosen. They feel abandoned, broken, misunderstood. That is because divine power does not arrive in a golden chariot, it is born in the wilderness. It is forged in the silence where no applause exists. The chosen ones are refined in darkness so that when they emerge, their light is not just bright, it is unbreakable. This fire within you does not demand a stage. It does not seek approval. It simply burns quietly at first, like a whisper at midnight. But the more you ignore it, the louder it becomes. The more you try to blend in, the more it aches to stand out. Because your soul remembers what your mind has forgotten, that you were never meant to be ordinary. You were meant to be set apart, and being set apart is not comfortable. It is not glamorous. It is often lonely. But loneliness, for the chosen, is not a void, it is a sacred space. It's where you meet yourself. It's where you meet God. And in that sacred silence, something miraculous happens. Your fears begin to dissolve. Your clarity begins to rise. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this trying to awaken in me? And that's the shift. That's when the divine power begins to transform you. Not from the outside in, but from the inside out. It begins with awareness. You start to see the patterns that have ruled your life. You start to notice the lies you've believed, the masks you've worn, and slowly courage begins to take root. Not the loud kind that rushes into battle, but the quiet kind that says, I will no longer abandon myself. That is the most dangerous kind of courage, the kind that makes you unstoppable. Because when a person stops betraying their own soul, they become a force of nature. And you, my friend, are becoming a storm of light. Now, here's something the world doesn't tell you. Spiritual power is not about floating away into bliss. It's about descending fully into your life. It's about loving the mess, embracing the shadow, owning your humanity. The divine does not ask you to escape your life. It asks you to transform it, to walk into your pain with open eyes, to face your fears with trembling hands and still choose to move forward. That is power. That is fire. And that is what you're being called into. But how do you know it's real? How do you know this fire isn't just your imagination? The answer lies in the hunger, the ache, the longing for more. True divine power doesn't make you feel superior, it makes you feel responsible. Responsible for your light, responsible for your voice, responsible for the healing of others, not because you owe them, but because you remember what it feels like to be lost. The chosen ones are not here to impress, they are here to remind others of what they have forgotten. They remind the world of its soul. And that requires a depth of compassion that only pain can produce. So if you've suffered, if you've been broken, if you've been rejected, understand this: you have been prepared. Be prepared to carry something sacred, something rare, something that cannot be taught in schools or found in books. It is the wisdom of the soul, and when you begin to walk in it, everything changes. Your energy changes. Your presence changes. People may not understand you, but they feel you. They sense something ancient, something powerful moving through you, and that presence alone begins to heal. But with great power comes great responsibility. Not to be perfect, not to have all the answers, but to listen, to stay connected, to walk humbly with your gift. Because the moment you begin to think it's yours, it begins to fade. Divine power flows through those who remember it's not about them. It's about the mission, the message, the light. And the moment you align with that truth, your life becomes a vessel. Now, let's talk about transformation. Real transformation is not about changing who you are. It's about remembering who you've always been. The fire within you is not new. It is ancient. It has lived through lifetimes. It has been buried beneath trauma, fear, conditioning. But now it is rising. And as it rises, it will burn away everything that is not you. That is not a punishment. That is a purification. The chosen ones are not given easy lives. They are given refining fires, because only through that fire can you find your strength. Only through that fire do you become clear. Clarity is not about knowing everything. It is about trusting what you know, trusting your intuition, trusting your path, trusting that even in the chaos there is design, that even in the delay there is divine timing. The chosen ones walk not by sight, but by inner vision. And that vision is not always logical. It doesn't always make sense to the mind, but it makes perfect sense to the soul. Let me ask you something. What is the one thing you keep running from that might actually be the key to unlocking your power? Sit with that. Because often, the treasure is hidden in the place we fear the most. And the fire within you is not here to destroy you, it is here to lead you straight into that treasure, into the part of you that is still whole, still radiant, still divine. And when you touch that part, even for a moment, something shifts forever. You begin to live from a different place, not from fear, not from ego, but from presence, from purpose, from love. And that love is not soft. It is fierce. It says, I will rise no matter what. It says, I will speak, even if my voice shakes. It says, I will be the light, even when surrounded by shadows. That's what the fire does. It doesn't just inspire you. It transforms you. It makes you dangerous to darkness. It makes you a mirror that forces others to remember their own light. And some people won't like that. Some people will resist you, reject you. But remember this, rejection is often redirection. The universe is not punishing you, it is positioning you. Moving you out of rooms where your light is dimmed into spaces where your fire can burn freely. So do not shrink. Do not apologize. Do not wait for permission to rise. Your fire is not meant to be domesticated. It is meant to disrupt, to awaken, to clear the path for others. And yes, it will cost you. It will cost you the version of you that was content to stay small. It will cost you your comfort, but it will give you something far greater, freedom, soul-deep freedom. The kind that cannot be manipulated or bought. The kind that comes from knowing who you are, whose you are, and why you are here. And that is the ultimate transformation. When your life becomes less about survival and more about service. When your pain becomes your platform. When your scars become your testimony. When your voice becomes a trumpet for truth. That is when you know the fire has fully awakened. But here's the truth most people won't tell you. The transformation never ends. The fire is always refining, always revealing, always calling you deeper. And that's a gift, because it means your power is not static. It is alive. It grows as you grow. It evolves as you evolve. And the more you embrace it, the more the universe opens doors no man can shut. So keep walking, keep listening, keep trusting that every step, even the painful ones, are leading you home. Home to your essence, home to your calling, home to the divine fire that has been waiting for you all along. And when you finally look in the mirror and see not just a face, but a flame, know this: your awakening is not just about you. It is about everyone who will be set free because you dared to burn. If you've made it this far, then something inside you is already shifting. There's a knowing deep within your bones that refuses to be silenced any longer. The fire has been kindled, and now you're not only aware of your divine gift, you're beginning to understand the weight, the beauty, and the responsibility of carrying it. But awareness alone is not enough. Now comes the hardest part, living it. Living as a chosen one in a world that tirelessly tries to make you forget who you are. You see, the world doesn't reward authenticity, it rewards conformity. It doesn't celebrate your light, it often fears it. Because your light exposes, your truth disrupts, your presence awakens. And a sleeping world is not kind to those who stir it from its slumber. So what do you do when your soul demands that you rise, but your surroundings beg you to stay asleep? You become a warrior of light. And what does that mean, really? It means living in alignment with your soul, even when everything around you screams to compromise. It means choosing truth over popularity, integrity over image, purpose over comfort. You are not here to be liked, you are here to be real. And realness, in a world built on illusion, is revolutionary. But being real can be lonely. That's one of the first battles the warrior of light must face, the battle of isolation. As you begin to walk in your gift, people will fall away. Friends who once laughed with you will no longer understand your silence. Family who once embraced you may not recognize your evolution. But I promise you this, every loss will open space for something higher. You will find your soul family. You will draw in those who don't just see your mask, but see you. But before that, you must be willing to walk alone. This aloneness is not emptiness, it's sacred ground. It's where your roots grow deep. It's where your identity is no longer shaped by others, but by truth. And in that truth, you'll find a stillness that cannot be shaken, a clarity the world cannot touch. You begin to realize that you don't need external permission to be divine. You are divine. And that revelation changes everything. But the world will still test you. It will throw distractions at you dressed as opportunities. It will offer you comfort in exchange for your calling. It will tempt you with shortcuts that bypass your soul. And here's where you must choose. Again and again and again. Because the path of the chosen is not walked once, it is walked daily. Every moment is a choice between returning to sleep or staying awake, between hiding your power or radiating it without shame. Let me ask you a question that may sting a little. What part of yourself are you still dimming to make others comfortable? Sit with that. Because if you are still shrinking, still apologizing, still censoring your soul, then you are not truly living in your power. And the world doesn't need more polite prisoners. It needs liberated warriors, people who are so free, their freedom becomes contagious. Now let's talk about resistance. Because when you begin to truly live as a chosen one, resistance becomes your constant companion. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're doing something right. Resistance is the shadow's last defense. It shows up as self-doubt, procrastination, fear. It whispers, "Who do you think you are?" And for a moment, you might believe it. But here's the secret. The louder the resistance, the closer you are to breakthrough. So don't run from it. Face it. Speak to it. Remind it who you are. You are not your fear. You are not your past. You are not your wounds. You are the light that survived all of it. And that light is not fragile, it is fierce. It is the same light that kept you breathing when you wanted to quit. The same light that kept whispering, "There's more," when everything was falling apart. That is your power. And it cannot be defeated, it can only be denied. And you must stop denying it. The chosen ones are not here to escape suffering, they are here to transmute it, to take pain and alchemize it into purpose, to take betrayal and turn it into boundaries, to take loss and turn it into wisdom. Every wound becomes a window. Every scar becomes a scripture. You are not damaged, you are designed. You are not broken, you are being built. But to live this truth, you must stop playing small. Smallness will suffocate you. It will rob you of miracles. It will keep you safe, but never fulfilled. And you were not born for safety, you were born for sovereignty. That means owning your voice, owning your vision, owning your value, even when no one claps, even when no one sees. Because the chosen don't wait for validation, they become it. And here's the paradox: the more you embody your power, the more invisible you may feel. Because true power is quiet. It doesn't need attention, it attracts it. It doesn't need to convince, it simply is. And that's where your strength lies, in your being, in your presence, in your unwavering alignment with who you really are. But the warrior of light doesn't just sit in stillness forever. Eventually, the fire demands action. Your gift is not just for meditation, it's for mission. There are people waiting for what only you can bring. There are souls praying for the light you carry. And if you don't rise, they may never see it. So start, speak, create, heal, lead. Not perfectly, not all at once, but authentically. Take the risk, make the call, share the truth. Because courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision that something else matters more. And your mission matters more. Don't look to the world for confirmation. It won't always understand you, but your soul will. And that's your compass. That's your map. That's your flame. You are not here to fit in. You are here to set the world on fire, with your words, with your presence, with your love. You are the reminder that miracles still walk the earth, that God still speaks through human hearts, that light still triumphs over darkness. So live like it, walk like it, speak like it, not with arrogance, but with authenticity. The world doesn't need another influencer. It needs influencers of light. People who don't just talk about truth, they embody it. People who don't just chase success, they create significance. And if you fall, rise again. If you doubt, return to your fire. If you get lost, remember your why. Because the warrior's path is not straight. It is spiraled. It winds through shadow and light, loss and gain. But every twist is sacred, every detour is divine, and every step forward is a victory. Now let me ask you something that only your highest self can answer. If you lived every day as if you were truly chosen, how would your life change? Would you speak differently? Love differently? Dream differently? Because that version of you, the fully awake, fully empowered, fully alive version, is not a fantasy. It is your destiny, and that destiny begins now. Not when you have more time, not when you feel more ready, now. Because the world is not waiting for your perfection. It's waiting for your presence, for your light, for your truth. You are the warrior. You are the healer. You are the flame. Now go light up the world. If this message called to your soul, it's because your soul is calling you to rise. Let it burn. Let it transform. Let it lead. Because you were never meant to fit in. You were chosen to stand out. And now you remember why.